if you want to improve your English. Grace had been studying English for a few years, but she felt like she wasn't improving as quickly as she wanted. One afternoon, after her English class, she decided to ask her teacher, Mr. Collins, for advice. She wanted to know how she could learn English more effectively.
Mr. Collins,
Grace began,
I've been studying hard, but I feel like I'm not improving fast enough. What can I do if I want to get better at English?
Mr. Collins smiled warmly.
That's a great question, Grace. There are lots of ways you can improve. First, if you practice speaking every day, you'll become much more confident. The more you speak, the easier it gets.
Grace nodded, thinking about how nervous she sometimes felt speaking in English.
But what if I don't have anyone to practice with?
She asked.
If you don't have a friend to practice with,
Mr. Collins explained,
you can join online language exchange groups. These are websites and apps where people from all over the world want to practice English too. If you use apps like HelloTalk or Real Life, you'll meet people who want to talk, and you can practice with them.
Grace quickly wrote this down.
That sounds helpful. I'll definitely try that. But what else can I do to improve?
If you watch TV shows or movies in English, that's another great way to improve,
Mr. Collins continued.
If you choose shows that you enjoy, it won't feel like studying. Even if you don't understand everything, don't worry. If you turn on English subtitles, it will help you follow along. Over time, your listening skills will improve.
I like watching TV.
Grace said.
But what if I don't have time to watch a whole movie or show? Sometimes I'm too busy.
If you're short on time, you can watch shorter videos,
Mr. Collins suggested.
For example, if you watch just 10 minutes of English content a day, you'll still improve. You don't need to spend hours, it's more important to practice regularly.
Grace felt relieved.
That sounds manageable. I'll try to watch a little bit each day.
Then she asked,
What about reading? I find it difficult to finish long books in English.
Mr. Collins nodded understandingly.
Yes, reading long books can be hard at first. If you find them difficult, start with shorter stories or graded readers. Graded readers are books designed for English learners, and they're written at different levels. If you read a little every day, even for 15 minutes, your vocabulary will grow. If you keep a notebook for new words, you can review them later and remember them better.
That's a good idea.
Grace said, writing it down.
But what if I get bored? Sometimes I find it hard to stay motivated.
If you feel bored, you should try to change your routine,
Mr. Collins suggested.
If you do the same thing every day, it can get tiring. If you mix up your activities, like listening to podcasts, watching videos, reading articles, and playing language games, you'll stay interested. And if you set small goals, like learning 5 new words a week, you'll feel more motivated because you'll see progress.
Grace thought about how she could set small goals.
I'll try to learn a few new words each week. But sometimes, when I speak English, I'm afraid of making mistakes. What if I make mistakes when I talk?
Mr. Collins smiled.
If you make mistakes, that's completely normal. Everyone makes mistakes when they learn a new language. If you make a mistake, you can learn from it. The most important thing is to keep practicing. If you practice in real situations, like ordering food at a restaurant or asking for directions, you'll feel more comfortable over time.
Grace nodded.
That makes sense. I'll try to speak more, even if I make mistakes. I wish I had more time to study, though.
She added thoughtfully.
If I had more time, I think I could improve faster.
Mr. Collins laughed.
That's a great example of using the second conditional. Let's imagine for a moment, if you had all the time in the world, what would you do?
Grace smiled, joining in.
If I had more time, I'd probably spend all day watching English movies and reading books. But since I don't have that much time, I'll have to focus on doing a little bit each day.
That's a good plan.
Mr. Collins agreed.
If you study a little bit each day, you'll improve steadily. It's better to study for 30 minutes every day than to study for hours only once a week. Consistency is key.
Grace felt more motivated after their conversation. She realized that learning English wasn't about doing everything perfectly or spending all day studying. It was about practicing regularly, using different methods, and not being afraid of making mistakes.
I'm going to start practicing these tips right away.
Grace said.
If I follow this plan, I'm sure I'll improve my English faster.
I believe you will,
Mr. Collins replied.
If you keep practicing and stay consistent, you'll be surprised by how much progress you make.
Vocabulary. Consistency, noun. Meaning, the quality of always behaving or performing in a similar way. Example, consistency is key. Reassure, verb. Meaning, to say something to make someone feel less worried or anxious. Example, if you make mistakes, that's completely normal. Everyone makes mistakes when they learn a new language. Subtitles, noun. Meaning, the text that appears on the screen in movies or TV shows to transcribe or translate the dialogue. Example, if you turn on English subtitles, it will help you follow along. Manageable, adjective. Meaning, capable of being controlled or dealt with easily. Example, that sounds manageable. I'll try to watch a little bit each day. Steadily, adverb. Meaning, happening or developing at a constant and regular pace. Example, if you study a little bit each day, you'll improve steadily. Hypothetical, adjective. Meaning, based on or involving a suggested idea or theory, imaginary, not real. Example, if you had more time, what would you do? That's a great example of a hypothetical situation. Improvement, noun. Meaning, the process of making something better. Example, if you study consistently, you'll see a lot of improvement. Motivation, noun. Meaning, the reason or reasons one has for acting or behaving in a particular way. Example, if you set small goals, you'll feel more motivated because you'll see progress.